Okay, this is, how do you do this? Sorry.
It's going over.
I don't want to break it. I break everything.
Try that.
Thanks. Hello.
Hello.
This is a true story because I really don't have an imagination. It's called, I'm wearing the wrong glasses. The last dinner party. And it's true. You won't even believe it. My mother considered herself a bon vivant. She loved to go to fancy dinner parties. The glitzier, the better. More than anything, she loved to host dinner parties. She was a mediocre cook, but she never let that stop her. In her mind, it was all about the presentation, and she loved being the center of attention. Every party had to have a theme. She had boxes and boxes of themed decorations, napkins, candles, towels, and tchotchkes. Neatly stacked in her tiny closets, the boxes that were needed were always buried at the bottom. She had everything right down to themed toilet paper. Her place settings were also relevant, each plate reflecting whatever holiday was being celebrated. And always in the middle of her table was a centerpiece, which revolved and played appropriate music. Her last dinner party was on a Halloween. Her apartment was very small, so when it was decorated from top to bottom, it was positively claustrophobic. She loved it that way. She invited 3 of her best friends, Sheila, Jane, and Mary, all in their late 70s. 2 of them, by their own admission, were virgins. They had all gone to Catholic school and were daily churchgoers. Not my mother, though. She stopped being a Catholic as soon as she married my Protestant father after high school. Funny thing, though, they were quite sophisticated in other ways and worked in show business. Jane, for instance, was the censor at Saturday Night Live. A perfect job for her. Perfect. She had a great sense of humor in spite of her prudishness. Mom would always have me come over at least 2 months in advance of the party to unearth her boxes of decorations. I dreaded these parties. It meant a lot of work for me, and it was stressful for her because she was a perfectionist. There was the ceremonial cleaning of the glass on the dining room table, top and bottom, a 2-person job. We had to insert the leaves and expand the table. Then she spent weeks, yes, weeks, setting the table, carefully orchestrating it daily. The table was set so far in advance that she would then cover it with plastic to prevent dust from gathering. No detail was overlooked. Everything was strategically planned right down to the matching color of the food to the holiday being celebrated. Orange and black are not the easiest to translate into food, nor the healthiest. I remember the orange foods pretty well: cheddar, cheese, yams, Cheetos, carrots. I'm hazy on the black foods, probably olives and charred meat. Maybe some licorice was involved, I don't know. My mother was a smart woman, though. She served liquor, so much liquor that nobody cared what they were eating, so it didn't matter. When the guests came, they were treated to a purposely spooky environment with cobwebs, candles, witches, and the trademark pumpkin toilet paper. To start the festivities, my mom placed a small 3x3-inch box by the front door, which had a motion detector. When each lady arrived and walked past it, the box started shaking, and a weird voice came out of it saying, "Help, help, somebody, let me out of here." scared the crap out of them. Sheila bought a little gift for each of us. These gifts were legendary for their poor taste. But this one was, well, there are no words. She had told us she was browsing in the drugstore before the party. She brought what she thought were hand sanitizers. Not a great present, but upon closer inspection, we noticed that they were not hand sanitizers, but they were for freshening up the feminine parts. We each stared at our little gift package with our mouths open. Finally, Mary said, "Sheila, did you really mean to give us these feminine hygiene wipes?" No, she did not mean to buy them, and she was highly embarrassed, but it certainly gave us a good laugh. It became a running joke for the evening. Everyone ate and drank and ate and drank, and when it came time for dessert, Mary turned gray and slumped in her chair. My mother was alarmed, rightly so, for Mary had passed out. We laid her out on the floor and called 911. The ambulance arrived quickly. 2 young EMTs came in and sized the situation up. All around them was plenty of alcohol and lots of empty serving plates. They also noticed a somewhat racy picture by the door of my mother in her younger days. Posed with a gentleman on bended knee at her feet, she was wearing a sexy costume with fishnet stockings. This picture had been on the wall for years and years, and none of us ever paid any attention to it. But the EMTs noticed it right away, and with a wink, looked at the little old dinner guests and said, "You girls really know how to party." My mother went to the hospital with Mary, who was diagnosed with a case of overindulgence and sent home with a bottle of Maalox. My mother's apartment was completely destroyed in a fire a few months later. The sexy picture was one of the very few things that survived. My mom settled into a new life in Virginia at a residence for active seniors called Leisure World. She gave an elaborate dessert party around Christmas of her first year there. She told me that as one of the gentlemen was saying goodnight, he noticed that sexy picture and he grabbed her ass.